you're ready. Okay. If you're ready, I'm going to call this public hearing to order. In attendance this evening, tonight, are Township Manager Don Januso, Solicitor Gretchen Moore, Supervisors Fisher, Agizio, Fleer, Barney, and Cassiola, as well as Township Engineer Dan Dizeroth. If you intend to speak tonight at all or think you might, please stand up to be sworn in. Tonight's public hearing is to consider application 2022-0017 for the Silver Creek Planned Residential Development, location Silver Creek Lane, R2 Medium Density Residential Zoning District, applicant Miranda Homes. This public hearing was duly advertised on July 15th and July 22nd, 2022. Do you want to come up and present? Thank you.
All right. Good evening. My name is Michael Cedor with Miranda Homes.
Can you spell your last name?
S-E-Y-D-O-R.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, I just want to thank the board for holding this public hearing this evening, and thank the audience for coming as well. I'm going to do a quick presentation that most of the board has seen at this point, and for the benefit of the audience as well. So, and then after that, open the floor to any questioning or comments, and we can go from there. So, again, this is Silver Creek. We are applying for the PRD in the R2 zoning. And again, I'm Michael Cedor with Miranda Homes. So here's this Cecil zoning map, which these properties, the subject properties, have been rezoned earlier this year to R2. A PRD is permitted use in this zoning, and the total acreage is just under 140 acres, and this does front Rising Road. The proposed plan is 242 single-family residential lots. As you can see, with two looped streets. The entrance to the site is directly across from the new Beltway ramp that goes over the Beltway. We have a significant amount of open space throughout the project, and as you can see, there is a small trail system as well. All the dark green in the image are wooded areas that will remain in perpetuity as woods. We have proposed sidewalks on both sides of the streets, one mailbox cluster with parking there, and a 50-foot perimeter buffer around the entire site.
Excuse me, what width are you showing on your plan? I can't tell for the sidewalks.
The sidewalks, I believe they're 4 feet. Is that the, whatever the requirement is for, within your ordinance is what it will be. There is some streams and wetlands throughout the site, and as you can see, there is a stream that runs parallel and then down close to the sewer treatment plant. That will be mainly undisturbed except to cross, as you can see. There will be 3 stormwater management basins, and we will construct this in multiple phases, and all utilities are available on site. So the phasing of the plan is proposed as 3 phases, starting from the left to the right. And, you know, it's approximately a third each. We're looking at a build-out time of maybe 5-6 years, depending on sales and depending on how the development works. Open space and buffer yard. So we will have 75 acres of open space. Over half of the entire acreage will remain open space. That will be owned by the HOA and remain natural and undisturbed. Again, the buffer yard is required at 50 feet, and that is what is being proposed. And again, that will also be owned by the HOA.
One more question?
Yeah.
I'll bring that back up. The dark green areas that you show encroaching into some green space, and I don't mean it in a negative way. Is that just some grading in that green area, in a natural, but everything else is going to stay undisturbed?
That is correct.
So there's very minimal intrusion into that green space?
Correct, correct.
So how many acres are in that green space?
Excuse me?
How many acres are in that green space?
There's 75 acres in the green space.
And how much is total of all the property together?
So that is 54% of the 100 and, I believe, 36, so 140, sorry.
And how many houses you gonna put on that 54%?
On the 46%.
I mean, 46%?
242. So with this plan, we propose a emergency access that will come at around the sanitary treatment facility and run parallel and go to Rising Road. We did look at other options, including Creedmoor. Based on the topography and the grade of the road, it was deemed unfeasible to do. This is our one area that we can do that with the emergency access. It will be gated. Oh, excuse me. Sorry about that. All right, sorry, I can't find them. Okay. Anyways, there is the emergency access is going to be at the maximum allowed grade, which is 15%. As it's proposed, it is 15 feet wide the entire way. In addition to the emergency access, the entrance road up to the first intersection is being widened to 30 feet, which is 3 lanes. So in the event that a tree falls or there's a wreck, there is ample space for emergency vehicles to get around. So moving on to stormwater control, again, there are 3 above-ground management detention basins that will control all of the water and stormwater that comes onto the plan. And this is designed by the township standards. So the sample building elevations are shown on the screen. They'll be anywhere from 1,800 to 3,200 square feet. We'll be starting in the upper 300s and upper 400s, and including options, they may go into the 5 and 6s. So that's the end of the presentation. I open this up to any questions at this point.
Can you go back to that emergency exit?
Sure.
Where is this tying into?
So the existing driveway for Silver Creek Nursery, it's going to blend into the existing driveway and come up onto Rising Road.
And that's all going to be paved?
Whatever the township standards are, yes.
That retention pond up on the top of, right of the corner of the property,
Yes, let me,
was that shown an access up there, access for maintenance of that facility?
yes, as you can see in the cul-de-sac, where a lot actually could be, there's going to be a road going to that basin.
Is that going between 2 lots, or is it giving up a lot?
It's giving up a lot.
You have no overflow parking anywhere?
As it's proposed, no.
That's something I'd like to see, some overflow parking. We make everybody else do it.
Let me step back real quick, my apologies. At the cluster mailbox, if you're looking down here, there are parking spaces, and there is additional parking on this loop as well. So my apologies, I misspoke there.
They can't park and block the mailboxes.
Excuse me, Mr. Cecil, can you speak
I'm
up?
sorry, say, they can't.
Tom,
park
is your
on-
microphone on?
They can't park and block the mailboxes. I mean, you can't call that off-street parking.
Well, it's going to be multiple parking spots, and yeah, you're correct. You couldn't use all of them for off-street parking.
Well, where that road goes off that cul-de-sac up there, why couldn't that be, that'd be a good area to far into for some off-street parking?
Where exactly do you mean?
Where that road goes off, that access road to that upper detention pond. That lot you says you're not using,
Sure.
why couldn't you have some off-site parking there?
We possibly could. I would have to look into that. I would have to have Scheffler and Company, the civil engineers, look into that, see how many, and if that is possible.
Well, it's possible, it's land right there, and you have a house on either side and a vacant lot.
Yep, we most certainly could do that.
So if somebody's having a party, how many cars are able to park in the residence
So
before they have to get a golf cart to come back to the party?
Fair question.
I mean, to be fair, I do agree there needs to be some off-street parking, but on the occasion that you're having people at your home, you are allowed to temporarily park cars on the township street. You just have to call the police and give them notification. I do agree there needs to be some provided, but I'm not sure that we need to like provide lots for people because these are single family homes
Sure.
for people to park in.
I think on 3 streets up in McConnell's, they got 3 parking lots. One on each level as they went up.
I didn't hear what he said, sorry.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that, I take you at your word on that. To answer your question, the driveways with the setbacks of the house to the road, including the sidewalk, there's space for 4 parkings, 4 cars.
4 cars.
Yes.
If you put 2 in the garage, if it's going to be a 2-car garage in most of these houses, is that
Every
correct?
single house would be 2.
Okay, so then 4 additional cars. So in other words, don't get a party too big. Everybody better carpool.
No. And to Ms. Fisher's comment, you can park on the street for those
Temporarily,
occasions.
yeah.
Wait, did you say 4 outside of the garage door, so 6 on that lot?
What is the setback, Dan? Do
I
you?
think she said 6.
Well, yeah, if they put 2 on the side, he says there's 4
No, he
additional.
didn't say 4 outside.
Yeah, I don't. My apologies. I do not have that in front.
But he
of
said there
me.
was 4 in the driveway.
I mean, like Cindy said, all you can really have to do is notify the police that you're having a get-together, and they typically just don't want overnight, especially in the winter when they're plowing.
Yeah, agreed.
Well, Dan's looking.
You're not gonna get too deep.
That area on that upper circle, I don't know what to tell you, how to look at
This
it.
cul-de-sac?
No, the next one. That little gray road coming out of there, go on the edge of that at 3 o'clock on that other circle.
Over here.
Up, right there. See that little road right there?
Right here.
Is that a road?
So no, that's going to be a trail.
Trail?
Yes. So it's there's a gas easement up there, and we cannot put any houses anywhere near that gas easement, and it's quite flat. So we propose putting a small trail system that you can walk and get some exercise, bring your dogs up there, things along those lines.
So you don't lose lots. Could you gain an extra lot somewhere and then access through there in that green area, in that part of that 75 acres right there to have some parking? I mean, I know you hate to give up a lot, but that's a big site.
I'm just not sure, not to be difficult, I'm just not sure how much centrally used parking is gonna be to make that one of the things that we're demanding of them. Like,
Talk into the mic.
I'm not sure how much central, like, to your point, Darlene, if that central parking's over here and I live down in the bottom corner, I'm not gonna use it. I'm gonna call Cecil Police and say I'm having Jake's graduation party tonight and there's gonna be cars parked for a couple of hours and then they're gonna leave. So to me, of all the things that we want to ask them for, like, extra parking is not a top priority. I think it's different in a situation like Traditions of America where the driveways were super small, or like in a housing plan that is townhomes where the driveways are small, but these are single-family homes. I have a large family. We have 3 cars between us, and I still don't regularly fill up my own driveway. So, like, consider it what you will, but to me, this is not a,
disagree on that.
yeah, this is not a big issue. I'm more concerned, if I can change the subject, with making sure there's a significant buffer between the back of that plan and the houses that sit on North DePauli Road. I see there's a significant one on my plan to the right, it's on the right here too. Like on the right, there's a significant one because of that gas easement, but there's two homes that you can kind of see on the map that sit right up against the back of where those other houses are. Now, I know you're saying 50 feet, but can we make sure that the 50 feet isn't cleared open space, that it's some significant trees or something that's gonna block the neighborhood from those homes? Because those people are used to living, bought their homes for the acreage, and they're used to living in open space. So it wouldn't, and I hate the word fair, but it wouldn't be right to force a housing plan on them and not to have some sort of buffer and some sort of foliage put there.
Absolutely, and I agree with that. Wherever we can create a larger buffer or a more undisturbed buffer, we most certainly will.
Yeah, I would ask that that be something that's included in your plans going forward, is a significant buffer between those houses and the houses on North DePauli Road.
Along with what Cindy said, those houses there, what's their view? I see, it looks like the contour maps lines all drop down. What's their view from their backyard on those existing homes? I mean, what are they gonna see? Other than some screening that you put in? They're gonna see the back of these houses, or is the topography help block that?
So my understanding is those houses are below the plan, so it's falling from the property line down to the Polly Road.
Oh, so those ones are all low side lots
Yeah,
on
and
that?
I'm not stating that they will not be able to see the backs of the houses or the roofs, but mind you that Miranda Homes development standards typically are that we have an 80-foot bench, which means if we have a 30-foot deep house, we have a 50-foot deep backyard, and then the buffer. So we're talking most likely over 100 feet.
30 and 50, that's 80. What about the front, though, as part of the bench?
So the house would sit at the very front of the 80 feet. So 30, so that'd be 50 feet of backyard.
So you're showing a 25-foot building setback. Wouldn't you need 105 feet of a bench?
So the front yard isn't considered the part of the bench.
Oh, okay.
The front yard, the bench starts at the
Building
front of the
line.
house, at the
Okay.
building line, correct.
So Cindy, your point on lots, there's, with the exception of lots 273 through 270,
Can't tell.
roughly 278, there's like 5 lots that minorly encroach into the natural buffer there.
I
So-
can't see the numbers, and again, I apologize, I don't have my
Yeah,
glasses on.
I'm
but
just reading the grading plan. It's
It's
sort of.
not the, here, let me walk over. It's not the whole, it's not just those houses. It's this whole strip here that
Right.
runs along here. Like, yes, these are worse. Sorry, here, can I
Yeah.
steal this for a second? Sorry. It's not just, there's a few houses here that really like encroach into
Yeah, you
that.
can see
But
them
to
in
me,
the-
it's this whole strip. It's that whole strip that goes from, oh my God, I don't know this one, I can't see that. Lot, I think it's 278, all the way through the end, where I want a significant buffer there to shield. I don't want them, I don't want them to see anything, because I know that's not realistic, but minimal, if they see anything as far as like houses there. So trees, whatever you have to put up, move those houses forward a little bit, make those lots require smaller homes. I know you can do that. Something like that to make sure that those houses are not in view of the two homes that sit on North DePauli Road.
Yes, I understand your point and do agree with it. Practically speaking, reducing the size of the house doesn't necessarily reduce the visibility of the house. You know, in the wintertime, you know, without any leaves on the trees, they're gonna be able to see the
So
house.
plant evergreens.
That's a fair point, and that's something we can most certainly look into if there's a way to adjust the lot lines to increase the distance of any sort.
To me, that's a deal breaker. Like I feel like we have an obligation, like I'm okay with the housing plan, obviously I live in one, but I do think that we have an obligation to the residents that live in those homes to buffer them as much as possible. That's why I'm saying, go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, so what I would recommend is if you want to condition, sometimes you're better off planting the buffer actually on the property of the property owner itself that you're against.
Yes.
So in this case, it looks like there's a descending grade from these lots down to there. So I'd want to plot a section through there and sort of see what that's going to look like to get a view. And then I would just say that you can make a condition to buffer along that whole, we can call out the lots and provide a visible year-round screen along those lots to adequately buffer, the residents on, that's North Napoleon Road.
Yeah.
Something to that effect. We could come
Yeah.
up with a condition for that.
Yeah,
but
and that's
there's a
fine.
number of ways you could do it, is my only point.
Yeah, my point is, whatever, I'm not an expert in any of this, so whatever you have to do to buffer it, buffer it. But I would say that
You'd
would
have to get
be
permission
most likely a
from them, I'm
condition
sure
that
that-
I would.
Yes,
try to
and
enforce.
that has been done in the past. It's not an outrageous request by any means.
Right.
Typically, what we would do in that case is during the sales contract, there could be language in there that states that you cannot disturb, so many feet from the property line, even if it is on your property line. It can be considered a conservation buffer. It could be part of the HOA. even.
Yep.
So
And I would
there are
ask-
means to take
But
care of
also
And
you
you
could
can
talk
work
to the
with Dan and-
neighbors though, down there, I'm sure.
Tom,
if
what'd you say?
Approached, said, you can talk to the neighbors down there too. There's a couple neighbors and maybe that you could plant some things over the line that they would probably appreciate. Some, if you don't have a lot of room on that side
That's
to
what
get
Dan just
extra.
said.
Yeah, I have no objection to that.
Yeah.
I believe one of the property owners did attend one of the rezonings, and I did speak with her momentarily. I'd be more than happy to reach out to them and try to come to some sort of, mutual agreement.
And one more point, considering the scope of the whole project, even though it's expensive landscaping, it's a fraction of what the development
10 feet.
cost is, and it does so much for the neighbors.
Yes,
For sure.
agreed.
For sure. And I honestly think it'll cause you a lot less headaches, too. The second thing that I want to bring up is the entrance onto Rising Road
Yes.
versus, because we've talked about this, this was something I kind of brought, or not kind of, I did bring up before, is I have serious concerns about the amount of traffic that will go onto Rising Road under that underpass. I drive it daily, multiple times a day, because I happen to live in that section of Cecil, and it's treacherous on a good day. So I'm not sure what you're willing to do or propose. I would hope it would be something, but there needs to be something done to either try to remediate that or to, I don't know, move traffic somewhere else. I know there's a bunch of suggestions that have been thrown out at you in the past, but that to me is something that would need to be conditioned in the approval, because we can't add, would you say 300 or whatever it was, new homes and all the cars coming through that underpass. Somebody's gonna
Excuse
get
me,
killed.
Cindy, I want to interrupt you.
You're fine.
I don't know whether it's up to Miranda or it's up to this board. I think we should close Rising Road at the trestle.
I am in favor of that. Unfortunately, that is not something Miranda Homes can achieve. It is, as you're aware, it's a state road. So PennDOT would have to be in agreement with that.
And what forced people to go up over South Fayette Way on?
No, forced them, most people are going that way now.
I don't know about that, yeah. I definitely do not. I don't know. I would have to think long and hard about
I
that.
sat there and seen a lot of people go up over that hill.
Yeah.
Well, you're one person.
If I could just interject, I mean, there's some things that could be done to improve the horizontal sight distance at that underpass. I've looked at it. We've talked about it a number of times with their traffic consultant. So there can be an improvement made. It's roughly between 30 and 40 feet of additional sight distance that can be achieved. It's not a whole lot. It's not required by PennDOT. We don't know if PennDOT would even allow it. So I understand Cindy's concerned that she wants something done. So you could structure a condition that they go to PennDOT, they ask them to do it, but in lieu of that, that they provide an impact fee, which they've already agreed to in writing, that would cover that. So something to the effect that they make all attempts to make that improvement, but in retrospect, that whole area up there, I mean, that's going to be an issue for more properties than this, what it may be more prudent to do is rather than initially require these guys to do a small, short little piece of something to impact, that may have a minor impact, that money could be put aside for anything that's developed out there, and you sort of develop a little traffic impact fee for that whole area. And then you collect off of these guys and whoever else develops, and then you potentially have a long-term project to do something there. I'm not sure what that project is. I've heard about the option of coming down onto Creedmoor, that has some potential. There's also the
Could you
possibility.
explain that a little further to everybody?
Well, there's the potential to sort of dive off of Rising and get down through a property that's there right now that's undeveloped, other than it's a commercial use right now, and then sort of realign Creedmoor and Rising to sort of combine the two of them together, come through the
Eliminate the road under the underpass.
underpass.
I
and
would
you get
prefer that versus closing Rising.
Right, and that's a bigger project than I think this project can afford, and that's why I would say it would make sense to take whatever they're gonna put aside and sort of use that. You could apply for grants, you could work with PennDOT, you could continue to collect impact fees. There's a lot of ways to approach it.
And the comprehensive plan, the new comprehensive plan calls for a portion of that to be commercial, so if it gets developed, there's some significant impact fees that could come from that in order to allow us to do that project.
Not if we don't have an impact zone.
Well, that's what he's saying,
These guys
create
would
one.
agree to, these guys would agree to a voluntary impact fee,
Right.
which they're willing to do.
That's correct.
And
yes.
then,
And then we'd have to create that
and then
impact fees.
you create that, just a district there to capitalize on the other stuff.
If we're not gonna raise taxes, which is fine, we have to do something to be able to realign that road. You can't see, as somebody who drives it 3, 4, 5 times a day, you cannot see coming around that trestle to begin with. I know that because I've lived here for 12 years now, 13 years now. But if you're new, somebody's gonna get hit head on, people coming in and out. You can't, and I like the idea of realigning with Creedmoor way more. I don't think shutting Rising would go over well at all. Especially if your end goal is to come back into Cecil. You're not gonna wanna have to go all the way around onto 50 just to turn around and come back.
3 miles.
Yeah, it's too far.
We lost
If I'm
sight.
going into South Fayette, I might do that, but I'm not gonna do it if I'm coming back into Cecil.
Still a lot safer.
It is a lot safer, but to come down to Creedmoor for the people who've lived in that area for a long time makes more sense to me. But you've already agreed to the impact fee. I would say we condition that just to put it in writing.
Absolutely.
But to me, the buffer zone and the Rising realignment are two of the most important things to me. Anybody else? If no other board members have questions right now, if you're okay with it, I'm going to open it up to the public. Any members of the public have any questions or comments? Please just step to the microphone, state your name and address for the record.
Thanks, Jackie.
Hi there, I'm Nancy Marshall. I live at 45 Tomahawk Claim Lane. I have 3 questions. First, I'm a little confused on the path way up top, the walking path that somebody, are you leading them right into the backyard of somebody who lives on North DiPioli?
No, it connects, it goes across from one street in the neighborhood across the back down to that cul-de-sac. So it connects 2 portions of that neighborhood.
But the part on the left seems to be dumping right into somebody's backyard.
There's little hooks.
Yeah, I'm sure that can be addressed and comment. Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead.
Just really quickly, the reason we put it to the property lines is for any future developments that would abut this property line, you could start a trail system. Now, that's the only reason to do it. If the board objects that, we could cut that off prior to the property line.
Let's ask the property owners because they may be interested, the property owners that are north of Poly may be interested in having access to that trail as a benefit if they want to walk farther, because sometimes walking north to Poly is not safe. You said no? Okay, so there you go. So we'll clip those little, thank you.
We can
We'll
adjust.
clip those little off and just make it
The other
connect.
side there, that's probably where the next development's gonna go expand up that way.
Well, they can extend the trail, the small portion, if they want to in the future. I would say just limit it to the neighborhood to be clean.
Okay, my second question has to do with the emergency exit road
Yeah.
that's coming up, that's what is now the Silver Creek Lane. Can anybody assure me that fire trucks can get through the underpass? I'm sorry, I think that's a big thing.
They get through,
Yeah.
They can?
yes. Cecil and McDonald.
Yeah,
Okay,
because they were just at a fire right as you go through the underpass, that abandoned house on the right. So maybe end of June, beginning of June, right as school was getting out, there was a fire in the abandoned house right there. And I actually happened to be bringing my kids home from school and they were
Next to
ahead
the
of me.
church.
Yeah, next to the church.
okay,
And they got through without a problem.
good, wonderful. Last but not least, I believe that I own all of the property to the south of the development. What kind of protection are you offering me in terms of all of the construction that's going to be happening up there?
Do you have an occupied structure or are you just asking for a buffer of your own property? I just am trying to clarify so I
I'm
understand.
not asking for a buffer.
Okay.
I don't need a buffer. I just want to know that, you know, if they do a whole lot of construction up there and do damage, I mean, I've gone through this once with the turnpike.
Gotcha.
Damaging my property. You know, I hate to see it happen again.
Right. I just want to make sure that what you're asking is clear.
Right.
Go ahead.
So appreciate the question, and this is not the first time, you know, budding property owners have asked that. We do everything in our power to not only minimize, eliminate any runoff, any construction issues going on to other people's properties. So you can see the 50-foot buffer. If you know, it's not to scale, but you can see it's hundreds and hundreds of feet of open space, no disturbance that's going into your property. You know, there's other developments in other areas where, you know, there may be more concern, but that is actually one of the most least amount concerned areas of it.
Nancy, and they're restricted in that, the buffer zone, they can't disturb it, even if they wanted to. I mean, it's a restricted area, basically, that part of the buffer.
I'm sorry, that's what the turnpike said too.
I can't disagree with you on that comment. Any other public comment? Any other board comments? Any other comment? Go ahead.
We have to know what the contribution is, the amount.
Yeah,
As part of
to
it.
condition it.
I mean,
Well,
we're
it was
not-
in
we're not-
that letter. It was
We're
in
not
that
setting
letter
those
they
right
sent
now
us.
anyway.
I don't remember the
It would
amount.
be if it's on the agenda for approval tonight.
It was in the letter they sent. I just don't have it off the top of my head.
$1,700 per lot.
1,700
That's
per lot.
correct, at building.
Okay. Any board comment on that? If you don't, do you have any additional comments? So if there's no additional comments by the board, the public, or the applicant, this public hearing is closed, and this will be voted on at our 7 o'clock meeting this evening. Thank you. Thank you.
What's his timeframe? When are they gonna break ground?
18 months.
Hi.
Get a joint permit.
Were
That's
we
for that
supposed to
process.
give it to the accident victims?
No, they're gonna give us $500,000. And they
I do not know if there's,
I